Hi, it's Gadget UK here again, back for some MiSTer stuff. So these came courtesy of Lee Smith's workshop with a case, which hopefully you'll see in this video as well. It might be the next part, and you may have already seen me get my D10 Nano up and running. Possibly, I don't know about the order I'm going to do these things. In any case, this is something, or some things I need for the D10 Nano. So these are case parts, I think, buttons that you can press from the outside of the case to influence the D10 Nano, change settings and things like that. We've got a case badge there. It's interesting, it's like a red print on top of black. So I thought I'd better explain what a MiSTer actually is. Now there's an original version of the MiSTer that was shipped years ago. I'm talking like 10 years ago, I'm sure it was. The MI at the beginning was short for Mini-Mig, I think, as in Amiga. Uppercase ST, as in Atari ST. So it was an FPGA based product that replicated either or both the Atari ST or the Amiga. So an FPGA, field programmable gate array, basically means it's a configurable gate array that allows you to replicate logic, to replace real world chips and things like that. So in the FPGA you can replicate a CPU, the address decoding, any custom chips, any I/O, etc. You can just basically replicate an entire system. So it's not emulation, but I'll talk about this a bit later on. There are some caveats. There may be examples I'll talk about later on, perhaps, where you could replicate a system in FPGA, but not in such a way that it's cycle accurate, by looking at emulator source code. So you could replicate the hardware as an abstraction of like an emulation layer, effectively, where you don't get one-to-one, and you may get the odd glitch and the odd timing issue, etc., because it's not an exact one-to-one replication of the internal hardware. To do things properly, you need to decap chips, really, as Furtek did with the Neo Geo stuff. Some of the Neo Geo core is a thanks due to Furtek. He decapped a number of those chips and actually, reverse engineered them. So it's entirely possible, and many of the CPUs actually have been done that way. It's entirely possible that most of the cores, likely most of the cores in the D10 Nano are cycle accurate, perfect representations of the original hardware. So I mentioned the old ancient original MiSTer was just for the Amiga and the ST, although a few people actually developed cores for other things. I think Steve Leary was telling me he did some Archimedes stuff back on the original MiSTer. So, he recreated the chipset there for the Archimedes, and that works. And I think maybe that might have got carried forward into this current version of MiSTer, the one that uses this D10 Nano. But this is where things have really kicked off with the D10 Nano, because it's become really, really popular over the last 4 or 5 years. And that's the thing, I am probably last to the party here with this. Some tactile switches here, 3 of, a toggle switch, JST, what looks like USB connection, and the header here, which that's going to go to the MiSTer, isn't it, I think. Oh, and a micro SD slot, maybe. I'm confused by that, because I didn't think we were going to need that. I thought it already had a micro SD slot on it. Unless I've got a newer MiSTer, I honestly do not know. And we've got a bag with loads of bits in here, look, tons and tons of little components rattling around. It's very dusty. Now, I've had this for about 4 years at least. It's incredible how long I've been waiting to get around to do this. And it's only in the last month, at the point of filming here, that I managed to order myself a MiSTer. Now, that is included a RAM board. So I think it's the smaller one. I don't think it's the what everyone tends to go for these days, 128 meg. Because with more RAM, if you add more RAM to a MiSTer, it opens up some of the larger ROMs on the Neo Geo side of things. So I'm guessing this is it 16 meg or 64 or something? No, it's a single chip, just says SD RAM version 3.1, and we've got a single chip on there, Alliance AS4C16M. I'm guessing it's 16 meg. Anyway, that looks nice. So we've got a little RAM module as well, and then in here, like I said, I need to be careful here, because there's a million free floating small capacitors and things. Can you see that down here? I think they are. I think they're 100 nanofarads or something. Wow, resistors and everything. It's just all of the components all mixed up. Some of them have come out. They've come out of the bags, the little things there. Oh, it's going to be a trauma working through these. I'll just put that up to the light. Yeah, that looks like it's free of components now. We've got 2 here. So it's just, let's have a look what they are. It's like a 2K resistor, 2K resistor. So, I mean, it's great that he's, you know, put all the components with it. One of the problems may be, unless this is marked. Yeah, I don't know what goes where. I've got to go try and find the bill of materials for this. So you can see the PCB here. So this accommodates a fan. It's got a reset button, an on-screen display button, a user button, capacitors and things, or LEDs here for power, disk and user, whatever that is. I assume those are LEDs because it's marked K. Yeah, that was marked K as of cathode. External LEDs, external buttons. That says not USB, serial I/O. So it's not USB, which is interesting. I honestly don't know what this PCB does. It says it's an I/O board. I'm not really sure why I would need it. I mean, it's got the micro SD slot here as well, because, well, the MiSTer has those things as far as I understand. I'm going to need a USB board, aren't I? That's something else I'm going to have to get to expand out. There can be a bunch more USB ports. So I think the best thing to do is, looking at this up here, it says I/O board version 5.5, copyright 2018 by Sorg Illig. So I need to go find out if there's a GitHub or GitLab's repro for this, and see what I can learn, really. Certainly get the bill of materials. Oh, it's got a VGA connector as well, VGA power. Oh yeah, VGA connector. There we go, that's what that is. So this is how you get video out of it, potentially, other than HDMI from your main board. So we're going to need this to get VGA, definitely. Oh, I've got those 2 components here, but I just put those back in there before I lose them. And inspect carefully, just make sure I've not got any more falling out. So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to this. It's hopefully should be a fairly simple build. There are a lot of SMD bits and pieces, you know, lots of cap positions and things like that, and resistors. Just trying to work out what goes where here. Like that might go there, but there's a 5-pin thing over here. I know there's not a 6-pin that, so I'm not sure what that's for. Pin header maybe. It's going to go on there, isn't it? Might go that way, I don't know. Need to be careful what stick where here. So I think we've got pretty much everything we need to get going. Where does that switch go? It goes up here, doesn't it? It says SOG. That's going to be sync on green. So it supports the 2 different types of common types of VGA. Your normal sync and your sync on green. So yeah, that's quite cool. Right, so I found a great blog, and I'll show you that. And it's got the bill of materials for 5.5, because there's newer versions of this board now, and that was my fear. That by the time I come to try and work out what I need, it's been superseded, and it has. I think like 9 point something, well, something like that now. It's like it's increased quite a bit. So what I think I'm going to do in the first instance here is try and sort these components, because we've got so many. Look. Freestanding caps and resistors, look at that. Try and sort out what's what there. That's it's going to take me further. Yeah, and I figured I'd share some of this with you, just so you get an idea of the scale of things, so you can see what I mean here. And I may just use my magnetic, I think that might magnetically attract it. Yeah, there we go, we've got a 2000 there. So I'll stick that into the new bag. Hang on, where's that gone? Go in. It's like I could have sworn I just put that in that bag, and then there's nothing in it. I suspect what happened is it pinged off the bag and went somewhere else. This is going to be the problem with this. I don't imagine me having all the components at the end. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm having second thoughts about this already. I'm thinking of just scrapping all these, just, I don't know, putting them in the bin or something, certainly the capacitors, because, well, you can go off colour like that. I think is a 100, and I think that's a 100. Is that a 100? That's a different colour. Might be a 10. Let's test that one on its own. Alright, we'll get the tweezers. But you can see the logistical nightmare here. that this is going to take me God knows how long just to sort these out into some sort of meaningful way. Because, well, there's loads of them. I mean, if I point you down, look at the size of the pile. It's massive. So, I don't remember what he said when he sent this. Whether he said they were going to be mixed components or what. I certainly hope he doesn't send all these kits out like this. I don't think he does, to be fair. And I think that this was thrown in for free, so you know what, beggars can't be choosers. You can't really grumble when someone's sending something for nothing. Right, is that a different colour to those? Yeah, I think it is. Right, so let's test that one. Yeah, and I appreciate you can't see the meter, but you know, herein lies the problem with capacitors. The resistors, not so bad. Diodes, easy. You know, resistors, easy. These caps, not. You see, like, by the time you've pressed the thing, you've got to then get the probes, try and get it on the capacitor before the thing counts down. And yes, I messed that up, hang on. Oh, and you've got to be careful you don't ping the thing off the table with the huge probes here. I know what you're thinking solder it onto something. Yeah, whatever you want. See, that's saying 62 nanofarads, so it isn't 100. So I'm left with the dilemma of what actually is it. It could be 68. I need to, and it's nanofarad, so I need to now look at the bill of materials again and see what different size caps we've got, because I'm not clued up as to what that's supposed to be. The one that I, tried to put in the bag before, and I did put one in there successfully, measured 90, which I'm guessing is 100, because that's often what you find. That's how far out the tolerances are on a lot of these small SMD caps.
2 hours later.
I've separated the resistors, so you've got 560 ohms, 200 ohms and 100 ohms. So the resistors were easy. The capacitors are sorted by colour. We've got darker colours, lighter colours. The first 5 or 6 are 100 nanofarad, and then I came to the next one and it looks identical in colour to the other ones, and that one's 47. So there's a mixture. So I'm going to have to test every single one of these. It's got to be trauma doing this.
2 hours later.
Yeah, so I broke it up. I did about an hour before and an hour this evening. Maybe a bit more this evening actually. We've got a load of 100 nanofarads. We've got some 10 nanofarads. And we've got quite a lot of 10 microfarads. And we got a few 1 microfarads as well. And then the resistors, 560 ohm, 100 ohm, 220 ohm. So I'm not even sure they're for the build. I can't honestly remember. It may be that he spilled the tray or something and I commented in one of his videos going, oh, I love those if you're going to bin them, because he was going to bin them. That might be what happened. I honestly can't remember because it's like 4 years ago, but I'm so grateful for him sending those things. So yeah, I'll put those out of the way. And I need to print off the bill of materials next and work out exactly what I need. Because we've got these things here, and I did put 1 or 2 of the components back in here, the resistors that had come out of there I think, but the other ones have not come out of these, if that makes sense. They did not come out of the bandoliers. I also need to order some resistor array, resistor networks as well, SMD ones, because I haven't got those. There might be other parts I need to order, so I'll report back. These things are quite expensive. Now there's a new one, I'll post the link down below, I'll stick the name of it up top left. I think it's MiSTer Pi, isn't it, it's called, which is a bit cheaper. This was somewhat like $270, and I've ended up using the PayPal pay over 3 months thing just to make it affordable, because, well, I've been putting this off because they're so darned expensive for years. I've got a custom case, which hopefully you'll see in this video. It might be the next part, actually, because I think in this part I'm just going to try and get this up and running and update it and stuff. So I've got the USB cable that comes with this. I forget what it's called. It's got a really weird part number. It's yeah, we'll have a look on the board because I think it's marked on the board. I've got the wireless adapter they offer as well. That was a couple of quid, and this was a couple of quid, so it was quite cheap to add the USB port and the wireless adapter. I think we're going to need those to update this. And I've got a 2 gig SD card here. I've flashed MiSTer Fusion 2. I'll show you how I did that in a minute. MiSTer Fusion from GitHub. It's just an image file that you can write to the card there. And I've got a second micro SD here, 512 gig for lots of ROMs and ISOs and stuff, but that will be needed later because there's only 1 slot on this, but I have an I/O board, so we'll try and fit that, and then hopefully we should be able to use a second micro SD card. So in the box here you can see we've got a USB cable. It's interesting. That looks like the same thing as that. Yeah, I think it is, but it's male, not female, which is an interesting one. So anyway, we've got that. We've got this, which is another one. Oh, that one's to one of the USB ports, look. But again, it's male, not female. Very strange. I don't know. We've got 4 little plastic standoffs there. We've got a wall power supply with the 2-prong thing, which is great if you're in the US, I think. Not for me. Although initially I'm going to try and plug this into my 110 to 240 volt adapter. We'll see if that'll work. And the MiSTer itself, I did just tear the thing and have a look at this before, so let's just pull this out. But what I haven't done is try and power this, got the wrist strap on. It'd be foolish to not do when I've spent so much money on this. Isn't that nice? It comes with a little clear piece of perspex there, and the standoffs. So it's going to go inside a case, and let's say I've got an I/O board to go with it that should give me VGA out. But this has HDMI out here, power in. I think that's USB, but I'm not sure. Similarly, I think that's USB, but not sure. Not really sure on those two. And then this is where the main USB goes out, and you have this cable here that'll allow me to connect a keyboard up to that port there, I think. What was it called? That it's marked, yeah, USB OTG. I'm not sure what the OTG is, but yeah, that's why I ordered that cable. I thought, well, if there's a cable for a few pounds and it's an option, I may as well get it, because I'm probably going to need it. So there's loads of things on this, loads of jumpers and things, you know, like GPIO type things that allow you to connect various things in future. It's obviously a development prototyping board. This, the DE10 Nano. It's comes from Intel. It's got Cyclone 5, manufactured by Altera, which has got an ARM core CPU, I think, alongside it. But it's an FPGA, obviously. I'll stick some of the specs top left because I'm not familiar with the specs of this. And we've got a load of RAM on here as well. I think there might be, is it 2 gig or 4 gig of DDR? I don't know. We've got a little Altera chip there supporting something. Got an analog devices ADV down there. It's going to be like a, I don't know what that is. DAC, DSP, something along those lines. And loads of little chips supporting things here, you know, USB, serial I/O. We got this thing here, micro SD slot. Component size on these is absolutely incredible, because obviously it's cutting edge stuff really. A couple of buttons, some pin headers all over the place on it. Yeah, so I'm really excited to try and get this working. Hope it works, hope I don't kill it. So let's put that on the bench. So I downloaded the install image from the MiSTer Fusion GitHub page, I think it is. I'll post a link down below. And you can see me here using Win32 Disk Imager to write that image file to my 2 gig SD card. I would later redo this with the larger sizes, the 32 gig, and then I would find the 32 gig doesn't give me enough space for all my ISOs and ROMs and all these things. So eventually I moved on to the 512 gig card, as you'll see later. Let's try and let's first of all put the card in that I've flashed. So I take that out. That's a 32 gig. It has a 32 gig card with it. Wow, that's quite good for a free card, isn't it? 32 gigabytes. I might use that for something else, but what I haven't done is write over it. I've just got, because in the instructions for MiSTer Fusion it suggests writing the image that you just saw me do over the top of the 2 gig card that comes with it. Well, they don't. They give you a 32 gig card now. There might be advantage in using the 32 gig card. I don't know. I suspect that because you're writing an image to this, the partition size is something like 128 meg or something, or it might be more than that. You end up with wasted space. So I think if we use that 32 gig card, we'd have like more than 30 gig of it just unusable. But I could be wrong. So anyway, that card is in. This goes into the OTG port, doesn't it, here? Got to get this right way up. I think it goes that way. Yeah, the flat side looks like it goes upwards there. So just very careful here, try and get it flat and straight. Oh, I don't like those kind of connectors, they're so fragile. But that will go, hang on, one way or the other here. I'm not sure which way around, actually. It'll go like that or something, I don't know. and the interconnects will join up to the things below. It's got to be, hang on, is it that way? It's got to be that way, because there's a strip here, look. You can see this pin header. That's going to align with this. And then this one here is going to go into there. And then I think you stick a RAM module in here. And I got one of those from the amazing Lee Smith as well, but it's the smaller one. Is it 32 meg or 16 meg? I don't know. So I will need to get or build another RAM module, because that one's not going to be up to the job for everything I want to do. And the idea is you stack these things up, but we're not going to need to do that. I think we can stack this one here, but then when it comes to the USB hub, normally you'd stick that on top of there, I think, or below. We're going to be able to fit that somewhere else in the case, the cool case that Lee has designed. And he designed it way back in 2019-ish. It's just taken me forever to get around to this because of the cost of this. I haven't been able to afford it. There's always been, you know, expenditure on my channel each month for parts needed, tools, etc. And yeah, I just haven't been able to afford it. But we have finally just, well, taken a risk and used PayPal credit, which I don't like. But I figure if I don't get one now, I'll never get one. And I'll tell you my other reasoning, and this is me being cynical. It's only a matter of time, the way the world is, that before China invades Taiwan, and I won't be able to order one. So maybe Armageddon after that. Anyway, so I've ordered one. And yeah, it came all the way from Taiwan in the space of a week. Yeah, so I think before I power this up, I'm going to plug this into my converter and just measure to make sure we do have 5 volts here. So I'll do that now. And the interesting thing with that, I'm going to get the wrist strap back on, it's not just 110 volts, it's marked on here. Yeah, it's one of these modern ones. It's 100 to 240 volts. So I think I just need an actual adapter rather than a step down. Yeah, it makes more sense to do that, because it's going to put this under a load of load. If I'm assuming that will go in there. I think it will. Yeah, that would go in there. But I think I'm just going to go and get one of those travel adapters, the type of ones that I usually take when we get to Florida. But I mean, I haven't been to Florida in 10 years, so yeah, probably never going to use it again. I don't know whether I'm going to get a chance to go to the States again. Right, I'll report back when I've found one of my travel adapters. Yeah, I don't know, I was thinking, when you're travelling abroad, you don't have these, do you? It's the opposite way around. But I've got this from an old programmer, an EEPROM programmer. So, yeah, not very safe, but that is going to fit. So, without further ado, let's plug that in. I'm very cautious of the fact that I've got this furry, you can't see it, a furry thing on here. Even though I've got the wrist strap, I'm probably generating masses of amount of static. Right, so let's plug this in. Hopefully it doesn't burn all in my hands while I do it. It's not making any noise or anything. You might just be able to see the meter there. And let's carefully just measure the voltage. 5 volts. I'll just try and raise that up so you can see it. Yeah, so we should be good to go, I think. It's slightly higher than 5 volts, but I think it'll provide 2 or 3 amps, this power supply. The cable is, let's be honest, not the longest. It's like it's struggling to reach right up here. And before I do this, before I plug the power in, there's 2 things I'm going to do. I'm going to connect the keyboard here, I think. I'm going to connect HDMI up there. We can do that now. I've got a cable that, hang on, just sort of sits down here. But I'm also just going to go away and research the switches, because we've got a load of dip switches down here, several of them, 8 maybe, and 4 switches here. I'm not sure if you've got to adjust those from factory settings. So the HDMI port, just going to very carefully try and massage it in gently like that. That cable's putting a lot of stress on it, so I'm just going to let that sit where it feels like it wants to sit rather than trying to straighten it. So again, I copied Lee Smith's workshop. The case he's got used this keyboard, and I was like, oh, I've got to get one of those keyboards. And it was quite cheap, it was 20 or 30 quid I think. And I got it in the Christmas sales last year with the intention of getting the MiSTer earlier on. So if we plug the keyboard in there, but it's nice, this keyboard, doesn't it look cool? And it will look really cool inside the case. I just like these colours. That's what made me want to replicate what he'd done with it. with the exact same sort of style of keyboard here. I think that looks really cool. Anyway, so we've got USB, we've got HDMI. It doesn't really feel like that's in, but it is. So I'm going to switch the TV onto the right channel. The other thing we're going to need here, and this is the thing we haven't got hub USB. This is where I think I'm going to run into problems now, because I don't think I'm going to be able to update this without this connected. And how can I interact with it keyboard wise without a hub? So I might need to go and find a USB hub in order to progress here. I think I have a USB hub now I think about it. I'm just thinking it's in one of these drawers here. Yeah, you may remember this decrepit thing when I looked at the A500. So I figure that maybe, even without additional power, it might be alright to power two things. I don't know, the Wi-Fi, how much power is that going to use? I've got no idea. So let's try and open this thing and get the USB Wi-Fi adapter into that as well, because I think without it, like I say, I'm going to have no network. It does have an RJ45 on there, but I've got a wire in here for that now. I could route that through the thing there. You can see this is all getting a little bit precarious in terms of balancing here. So, right, I'm going to research the switches now. Yeah, so the switches there are in the right position. I'll just tell you what they should be. 1 up, 3 up, 5 and 6 up, 2 and 4 down on that 6 pin or 6 switch, dip switch there. And down here, the 4 are all down towards this black thing here, you know, on the keyboard. So there's no power switch on this, is there? That might be something I need to do in terms of a mod or something for the case. So let's get power, see what happens. Blue light. Nothing coming up on the HDMI 2. I mean, it is still booting. I'd kind of expect maybe something to come out on HDMI though. And I am assuming it can output via HDMI. Like with this core, maybe I need an I/O board. Might not be able to get any further without one. Well, I'm not getting anywhere here. You can see these LEDs just suddenly came on and started going like that in a sort of strobe effect, yeah. So it seems to be booting up. It's doing something, but we're getting no video. I'm guessing it doesn't actually output via this here. I think you need, you know, like a hat on it, you know, this I/O board. I think without this to output VGA, I think it's going to not give us any video, which is a curious one, because you'd think they'd output something here. I don't know. Certainly on the install routine. Maybe my cable's not connected right or something. I need to just check it. I don't know. Power it off maybe. But you see, the thing is, it could be in the middle of doing something. For all I know, it's synced. It can't sync because it needs a password. I was going to say sync to my network and it's downloading stuff and all that sort of stuff, but I don't think it is. I think it's just waiting for some input or something there. I'm sorry if you were screaming at the camera there. The HDMI wasn't in. It was like 4 or 5 millimeters shy of being plugged all the way in. So I'll point you at the screen this time. See what happens now. Again, I think I'm on the wrong HDMI channel. I love having all this switching channels stuff. Hey, 1360 by 768. There we go. Well, it's there, isn't it? So, can we use a keyboard? I don't know. Let's press key, escape, no. This is the thing now. Is the hub working? Is the keyboard going to work? I don't know. I think this might be where we need to press a button. But you see, we don't have the buttons, do we? So, pressing various keys here, nothing happening. So, yeah, maybe it doesn't like that hub. So, I don't know. You'd think there'd be some keyboard interaction at this stage, but there isn't. Probably need to press a button on this board here, and we can't do that. Can we press either of these buttons here? I don't know, what are those buttons? key 1, key 0. I don't know, let's use the plastic thing here just to press key 1. Oh! So what's that do? Remap keyboard. But we can't use the keyboard, can we? This makes me think the keyboard ain't working, actually. Let's press the same button again. Hang on. Try to do this carefully. Yeah, so that moves the menu up and in and out. And the other button doesn't seem to do anything, so let's go back out. Press the other button. Doesn't do anything. Yeah, so that one button is doing that, but then nothing. Because I'm kind of thinking that hub is jinxing things here, so let's disconnect it from here carefully. Plug a keyboard directly in. I don't think that was in, I don't know. I remember that hub being crap, to be honest, so let's try and get that in. Don't you hate the way USB works? Ah, the keyboard works now. Yeah, there we go. It's that hub. So, how do I get Wi-Fi at the same time? Why couldn't we port two USB ports on this? It really irritates the heck out of me. The only option I'm going to have, I think, is to use RJ45 here. We're going to see if I've got a long lead and connect over mains, because that's how my internet in here works, the connection in here. If I'm not using Wi-Fi, it works over the mains, and, well, I'll be honest, that's fluffy at best, but we just need to update the core, don't we? I mean the main install here, and it updates all of the cores, but there's scripts there to get it to update the, pull ROMs, I think you can pull arcade ROMs that way, which was, that appeals to me, so I have to go and draw my ROM sets to work out what to do. So we would normally go into here, I think, scripts. Do you want to continue? Yeah. And then update. But, well, we haven't got Wi-Fi. Right, in the words of Dave Jones at EV Blog, this is all about how you're doing. Like, you can see everything's sort of stressed this way. Keyboard connected, everything apart from power. Got RJ45 going over the mains to the router. Hopefully DHCP is going to work here. So let's plug it in. It's booting up again. And let's see what we can do this time. If anything. Forget how we do this now. I'm going to press that little button, haven't we? I'm going to reach across and press the damn thing. ESD wrist strap on all the times here. Because I really don't want to kill this and have to turn it all the way back to Taiwan. So, how do we do this now? Scripts. Maybe if I run the script, it'll be intelligent enough if we do update. No internet connection. Please try again later. So this is the thing, I'm not sure what's going on with that RJ45. Right, that was the trauma. I resynced the power thing and it still wasn't working, and then I realised the Ethernet cable wasn't plugged in right at the other side, just like the HDMI. It was like half in and half out, so let's just press a key. Let's try it again. I don't know whether it's going to look at that RJ45. No internet connection. I'm thinking I should power cycle it, because the instruction says it should automatically assign an IP blah 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 when you plug it in. So let's power cycle it. Maybe on boot something happens with the Ethernet. I mean, I'm looking at the Ethernet port here and I see, yeah, the yellow light, but not the green one. I can't remember. Does that mean, it means it's got a connection but it's not doing anything, I think. So let's try and press the switch again. I mean, how do you know whether you've got an IP address? Scripts, yes, update, no internet connection. Oh, there we go, no network, here we go. So I press left, oh hang on, volume, left and right there, goes between those two menus. So there we go, there's a big clue, no network. But why no network? That's what I'm not quite getting here.
2 hours later.
Right, as you can see, we have an IP address now. I cycled the power on the other power line adapter in the main room, and then suddenly I can see all three lights on the device. So, and we've got an IP address. So, yay! Let's now do scripts. It might take quite a while here. update, and ooh, it's running an update, I think. Start downloading things. What are those? My cheats folder. It's not cheats I'm interested in, it's cores. Partition media fat as full. Ah, what? What does that mean? Media fat is full. Yeah, this is slow. Granted, it's going over my mains. How my wife doesn't switch that heater on, that fan. Every time I switch the heater on in here, the fan, the internet connection drops. I'm not even sure that's doing anything, you know. I mean, it does say downloading 18,602 files. What the heck's that? You don't have enough free space to run downloader. Media/fat is full. Minimum required space for media fat is 512 meg.
2 hours later.
What is strange here, despite the fact media fat is full, it's downloaded a Linux update here, and it's doing that alright, and it's running it to the same place, path media fat. So maybe the other files were too big or something. I'm really puzzled. Press a key. I like the way it says rebooting in 10 seconds and then it makes you press a key. Go away for 10 minutes and come back thinking it'll reboot and it hasn't. Right, well that's updated the cores, I think, hasn't it? It's done something because we've got arcade, let's go in there. Alternatives. Yeah, computer. No computer cores. No console cores, no other cores. No nothing. So, well, that's not done much. We've got date and time now.
2 hours later.
Right, so what I did is I wrote the original image back to a 32 gig card, the one that came with it, and then I used the partition manager in Windows, you know, the drive manager, whatever it's called, and deleted the fat partition after I'd copied the files onto my local hard disk, and then created a new one that was 20 something gig, and copy the files back. I can show you that on the PC in a minute, just so it's clear how it's structured. But I figure that the fat partition now is much bigger.
2 hours later.
Yep, it's not booting, so either I've bricked it or that SD image just isn't right. I'm thinking the SD image isn't right, actually. So I might need to go and write the original image back to it again. But what I'm not sure about is how you use the full space of the card. Maybe it resizes it as one of its early things. It does, I don't know. Let's try that again. Connect power. So it's using the previous SD card now. We've got some activity here straight away. Yeah, that's booted. So the SD card image isn't right. So I will be back yet again after I have just written the MiSTer Fusion to that, which is a tiny image, and hopefully we'll be able to use the space on this 32 gig card. Now, I have to admit, I am getting pretty cheesed off of this. I know it's an amazing thing and everyone's put tons of work in, but can someone not update MiSTer Fusion so that it resizes the fat partition or something, so that you don't have this problem? Because, I mean, the tutorial says just use the 2 gig card that comes with it. Well, it doesn't matter. This is, I think, going to make no difference whatsoever, because the image you write to it has something like 128 meg fat partition, and this is the root of the problem. Yeah, is that partition is just way too small. Can I create another partition on there? Will that automatically get picked up? I might try that next, but I can't find any information that suggests how you get around this problem, and I can't find anybody else with the problem. And I think the reason is because everybody else has got the I/O thing. I'm just trying to get this working in its minimal form. I don't have the I/O thing ready. So yeah, you can argue that this is my own fault here, but it's a simple thing that... Why is the screen blue? What the heck? Yeah, we never saw this before because they didn't have video. So this will be interesting. So maybe it will resize it. Maybe I'm speaking out of term here. But you see, that 2 gig card wasn't big enough. But I mean, that kind of makes sense with all the cores and everything, but I don't know. I still think the fat partition is 128 meg, and 128 meg is not much room, is it? It was enough space for the 90 meg Linux update it downloaded, but not big enough for anything else.
2 hours later.
Yeah, so taking an absolute ice age to download everything here. So I've got from GitHub here a list of parts on my phone here. So I'll start with C1234, 10 nanofarad, and yeah, just get them on there. Yeah, so you can just about see. Right, so I've got to try and find C1, 2, 3 and 4 now. It's probably easier just to look at it like this. Right, C1, 2, 3 and 4 are here. Let's just, hang on, get a bit better focus. Keeping my eye on the MiSTer, it's still updating. I know that was the previous part for you, but yeah, at this point, it's been updating for about half an hour. It's, well, still going. So I'm just going to get a tiny bit of solder up to there. No, I'm not going to do that one. Hang on. I nearly messed that up then. There. There. If you get solder on one side up, it's probably going to be way too much solder. I'll just put some water onto my sponge. And when I say water onto my sponge, that's what I mean. Yeah, I put a new sponge in there recently, so let's start with a good habit of actually wetting the sponge instead of just baking, you know, cooking the thing with the hot iron, because that's the previous routine, which is why the last sponge needed replacing. And I can clean the tip. Hand-eye coordination is everything, and I don't seem to have any right now. Left hand's shaking. Right, so we're getting there. The LEDs here are from when I was doing electronics like 30 odd years ago, 40 years ago, what I say. I'm not getting far off. So yeah, and one or two of them, I think the green one was reclaimed off something, so I'm going to straighten the legs up. I don't know, the brightness of these, are they all going to be about the same? I don't know, we're just going to have to just give it a try, I think. And of course, well, it might be worth just getting a button cell. Let me just go and get a button cell. So, red from the top. So let's do the red first. Let's just work it out again. The positive was the long leg, I think. Yeah, positive is the long leg. Which means the cathode is the short leg. So it's just going to go like that. I don't think you have to worry about height, because the fan's got to take up the same sort of height as the LED there. So yeah, I'm not sure if you could see me testing that off camera there. Anyway, let's just press it down and solder these points. I'm getting there though, and you know what, the MiSTer's still going. It's been going for about 2 hours. It's taken me 2 hours to assemble all these small components on this. You'd think it'd be no time at all, but well, I like to try and do things nice and straight and stuff, and I fiddle around a lot more than any rational person would. So that little D-cert, trying to get that blooming SD slot on, micro SD slot, just took me about an hour actually. I have spent easily an hour. I wonder what that is on there. Oh, it's just the metal flap, isn't it? Yeah, that cost me a lot of time. So yeah, do think carefully about what you're soldering where, and like, is it going to block something else? I was just like, oh, buttons, let's stick the buttons on, that's going to be so cool with the buttons on it, the LEDs, and then I'm like, hang on, how's the micro SD slot going to get soldered up now? Duh. I amaze myself sometimes doing the most ridiculous things. Anyway, hopefully there's no bridges on that, because otherwise it's all going to have to come back off again, that button. Just cleaning up now. Got this connector here, it's just pin strip, got the one up here, got that, got the LED, obviously these are all alright, that's on, LEDs are all on. So the only thing I think I need to order, I think, is a 3.5mm audio connector. Just using 100 degrees here, by the way. So after an absolute ice age of trying to update this, I left it going overnight. I actually powered it off, took it back into the other room, formatted the SD card again, and started again, connected to the network in there. And it took about 20 minutes actually of messing around. I had to copy, and I'll show you the link on GitHub. I had to copy an extra update all script from a different repro on GitHub, and that downloaded the relevant ROMs and things needed. But the default option when you would run that update all script, it as default doesn't download hardly anything. It doesn't download ROMs, doesn't download artwork or anything like that. So yeah, I had to run that a second time. Anyway, so I'm now going to install this. So it's up and running with arcade games. I'm going to need to copy all my BIOSes across. Important point to note, I had to bend this outwards here, because these 3 pins go into the N3 pins on the end of the black connector there. So it goes between the 2 different halves here. And I think this is one of the smaller RAM chips, so I'm going to need, smaller RAM expansions. So I'm going to need the 128 meg one if I want to play Neo Geo stuff on it, I think. Or certainly some of the larger ROMs. We've also got this. Now, the other thing I've just done on this is look at the schematics for this and just check the diodes. And there's only 2 on there. One of them comes away from this connector here with its anode and the cathode facing away, and I can see that on the layout of the PCB. So those are definitely the right way around. Final thing I'm going to do before I connect this up is just check these caps. So this footage here was filmed much later, but just showing you the progress I had made at this point. So you can see there the wireless signal. That shows you've got a connection, yeah? You can press F12 to toggle the 2 different menu modes there. So that's the list of cores here. We've got arcade cores, computer cores, console cores, and some of the utilities and things there. Going back to that other menu, that's the menu we got when we pressed the one of the buttons on the D10 Nano, when I had just the 2 buttons there. If you press left and right here, you get these 2 screens. One of them shows you the display mode I think it's in, shows you your IP address. And you can have multiple configurations here, and you've got the volume levels there, so I think you can go up and down, the A can, and you can change the core volume. So the core, what is a core? Is the core in the FPGA that you've selected, in this case here the menu, but if we loaded an arcade game, it would relate to that game. If we'd reloaded a console, you know, I don't know, a Nintendo 64 for example, or a computer, Commodore 64, Spectrum, etc., you know, that relates to the core, but then you've also got an overall global volume as well. And there's a left, right on that menu. I also worked out you can press F1 here, and if you've downloaded the artwork, and I did, you'll get nice artwork there, or you can have other patterns and things. I quite like the artwork though, it's really nice. A lot of amazing artwork has been produced for this. Pressing F12 again, and the other thing in relation to that, if you've got a controller connected, you can press, in the case of the PlayStation 4 one, the DualShock 4, you can just press the home button, and it's the same with the Steam controller that I'm using at the moment. You can press like effectively the home button, the guide button, etc. in the middle, and that toggles your menu mode. If you go into arcade here, this was where I was initially interested, and I saw a game that I played back when I was like, I don't know, 14, 15, on holiday in Mallorca with my parents, the arcade in the hotel. I had a couple of games. It was quite a nice arcade they had there actually, and this was one of them. And for years and years and years I wondered what this game was. I played the heck out of it on holiday. But it's perfect, arcade perfect, just as I remember it. There is one minor glitch with this particular game that might need a core update. Put some credits in. Sounds just like remember it. This flickering line here, I think that that's a bug in the core. I don't remember the arcade version having that line there over the sprites in that left side. So anyway, but it's arcade perfect. This is exactly how the arcade machine plays and sounds and looks. It's absolutely incredible. Yeah, I used to be able to get to, I think, the 4th or 5th part on this. It didn't take me very long to work that out either when I was in Mallorca. So just coming back out of that, if I go into computer, you can see it's downloaded all these computer cores. So it's just amazing. It really is absolutely amazing. I'm almost lost for words with this. The work that's gone in. What version of oh yeah, got Dolphin DOS there, so they've put a compatible version there. You can always swap out the ROMs, so I can put the proper Commodore ROMs and things on there for that. But does that not look just like a Commodore 64? It does. Trust me, on this screen. This is what is amazing about this, is because it's an FPGA implementation, the timing of everything to do with the video ends up, and the colours and everything, it ends up looking just like the original. There's very, very, very little difference. A good example of what I mean, more precise there, if I come back out of that and I change the core to another console here, there'll be more about this in the next video as we look through some of the different cores. But if I go into console and we have a look at PlayStation, and I can show you something quick on the PlayStation here as well, what Dennis did over Christmas. Because, well, it was a really nice Christmas treat, really, and it landed at the same time as I built my MiSTer. Look at that. To my eyes, that is a PlayStation. Not just how it generally looks and how it sounds, let me reset it, but how it behaves almost at a scanline level. So, hang on. Yeah, there we go. The way you get a bit of insulation going on with those lines, the granularity of the lines, the colours, it's just perfect. It's just absolutely perfect. Let's just, hang on, how do we reset that core now? Yeah, I found myself resetting a number of these cores a number of times like this, going, oh my god, that is just like the original PlayStation. Everything about it, it's just unbelievable. And yeah, I'll show you. I'll load a load a game there. So I've got Resident Evil on there. I've also got this that Dennis Vandenbroek produced over Christmas. He's did a bit of homebrew. I am astonished. I'm astonished at the quality of, and there again, everything about it. It's pixel perfect. Granted, we're over HDMI here. Now that might not be. I don't know. But yeah, and this here might just because of this homebrew that Dennis has developed here. But he's created a Yule log. Yeah, Yule log. You know, you've got a fire burning there. I've got rid of the message now. I pressed the D-pad. It's got the burning noises and the little things popping out of it. Amazing work, Dennis. That's not bad for a first bit of homebrew. It's just astonishing though, and at any point you can press F12 and you get the menu back up, and then using left and right, you know, you've got the menu you've seen there on the left, but if you press right you then get to the another menu, the system menu. So like left, right, right. You can see you've got 3 different layers of menus there, so it's quite easy to use. So you've got in the middle menu there for PSX, this is everything to do with the PlayStation. You know, you can load your ISO there, you can enable cheats, everything's with memory cards, and it's the same for each of these cores, and the cores are obviously in development. There's more features and things being added all the time. In the right hand one, this is the system menu. Because we're using HDMI at the moment, we haven't got the I/O board working. You've got things related primarily to the HDMI output. So video processing here, you can see you've got video filters, various things there, gamma corrections, shadow masks, the sort of things you get on a CRT. You can replicate CRT look and feel. Certainly on the HDMI side of things there, but you can also do things with the VGA output as well. Although the VGA output has, is different. So the filters you apply here, point I'm trying to make, the filters you apply here don't apply to VGA. We'll cover that more in the next part, I think. And of course, you can change all the button assignments, keys, everything, sound settings, etc. And if we go back to the core menu again, let's just have a look here. These are the cores for consoles. I mean, just look how many you've got here. It's just absolutely incredible. Atari Lynx, I'll show you that. Let's just load Alien. That'll come up with the insert game. There we go. And if we do load Lynx, full collection, load the latest version of Alien. So I can play Atari Lynx on the MiSTer. It's just incredible. It sounds cycle perfect, cycle accurate. Everything sounds and looks and behaves just like the real thing. This is one of those cores that I haven't found anything where I can spot a difference. And trust me, I can spot a difference in something like this. I spent so long developing software on the Lynx. I can spot things where even a pixel's out, or something's not quite right. There's nothing. It's just absolutely spot on in terms of look, sound, and behaviour. Just hit start. Amazing to see it full screen like that. Shows you how blocky it is when it's that large. Just incredible. Absolutely incredible. The work that Daniel did with the artwork here is fantastic. Anyway, we'll have a look more at the Lynx core and other cores in the next part, I think. So 2 of these caps are for audio coupling, which makes sense, because I was wondering why there might be 3. So I'm just going to test, I'm going to find the one that's on the power rail, presumed this one up here maybe, and just test from ground. I know the thing down here, the USB, has got a ground point, and let's just see where the ground is. Well, we haven't got a joint there, that's a bit worrying. Let's test these ones. No, they're coupling. So why have we not got a ground? I could test the ground here maybe. That's not connected either. The strange thing is it goes to one of the sync on green connections, which is a bit weird. So maybe I don't need to worry about that. So I think without further whatever, I think we'll stick this on. And I'm not sure how we're going to know whether the second SD card works or not. Might need to go format it and then stick it in and see if there's anything in the interface that gives us a clue. I've ordered a fan and I've ordered an audio connector, which looks like it should fit. I haven't got the exact, I haven't gone off like a DigiKey bill of materials or anything. And that's it really. So you've got a few things on here that are not needed. There is a bridged thing here that I'm just going to leave that as it is. I think I looked on the schematics and I think that should be alright. So, and you can see it came out really pristine. I have to go through the ultrasonic cleaner there. There's barely a mark or a streak or whatever. So I'm very grateful for this as a donation to the channel. Although I think I paid for it, but I think I paid for the cost of parts actually. I honestly can't remember it's been that long. So yeah, this is the fun bit now, is trying to fit this on here. And you can argue the best way to do that is without the RAM fitted, so let's just remove the RAM. Wrist strap's still on. Yes, I am still in furry fleece here. And I haven't cut the pins down that protrude from here yet either, so like that's lined up. And the thing is, you're better off assembling this when it's actually, you know, the pins are in the thing. Otherwise you might get slightly skew alignment. Now, bear in mind, you need to remove the standoffs here, so let's do that. I can get a heatsink onto that as well while we're at it. So, yeah, the clear plastic top here, we are not going to need in its current form, are we? And it's going to go inside that case anyway, and that's going to be the next thing I might do, actually show you that case and try and secure this in there. Wow, this is fiddly. When you've got two different interconnects on different sides like that, it's bound to be a wee bit troublesome. Like, are those going to line there? Yeah, they are. See that? Those have gone in, and those have gone in, which I think now allows us to secure on this side. Oh, I should be doing this in the main part of the bench. I'm just being lazy because this is where I've got it set up. And obviously I don't want to overscrew there. You could do with it, yeah, see that's pulling it. You could do with a standoff or something here, or a different size one of those. This side's going to be okay because it's flat and flush, so this one can go nice and secure. And obviously we're not going to know if this works until, well, we've got the SD card, micro SD in, or we test the VGA, so I'll do that in a bit. We'll connect VGA up in a little bit. Let's just, yeah, let's get that in. Everything looks alright there. The one thing it did say on the instructions on the GitHub for that, this thing here, it was saying remove pin 3. Yeah, pin 3 goes nowhere. It's the VREF pin, and I looked at it. It's not short or anything. It doesn't go anywhere. So you don't need to remove the pin at all. But I mean, that had me quite alarmed, thinking, oh my god, have I fitted that pin strip and I actually need to remove the pin? Well, no I don't. As far as I can see, unless it's on an internal layer. Oh god, that could be the next thing. But you see, I measured between VCC and ground, and it looks like it goes nowhere. So, where's the power now on this? So it's down here, isn't it? Just plug power in. I wonder what was happening there then, because it took a while for these things to come on. But of course they're GPIO driven, so that makes sense, doesn't it? It's interesting we got some pulsing going on here. So first signs are that's alright because it has booted up. Let's try Athena. I don't know if that's going to work. I quite like the home version of that. I never got a chance to play it in the arcades, but it's a cool game by SNK. Oh, it's upside down, look. Really? Really? So, screen settings. Save settings. Exit, and then hopefully. Yeah, I don't think you could hear that for the fan. How cool is that? So I'll put a bunch of credits in. Let's hit 1. This point probably where I realise I've got the keys mapped a bit weird. Yeah, because there are 2 fire buttons. There's a jump button. It's quite hard with keys when you've got 2 fire buttons. When you've just got left, right, up, down and a single fire, obviously it's far easier, but I've got 2 fire buttons here, one for jump, one for kick and hit. But as you can see, that looks great over HDMI. I do question what the point in the VGA adapter is, unless you want a CRT monitor maybe. We've got a VGA one. Yeah, it's taken me a while to get used to the menu here. Core D. There you go, keyboard shortcuts work. Double Dragon Japan. Let's see if that works. Oh yes. Yeah, this is the thing, you're best off having a gamepad connected, so I'm going to have to get myself a few different things here. USB hub, you know, one for the MiSTer, and a USB pad. forgot to stick that heatsink on that chip, didn't I? I'll perhaps do that in a minute. So we go right, left, down, up, kick, jump, punch. Oh my god, 3 fire buttons. Start, point, put, 4 credits. I don't know what that is. I'll do save. He moves slower than I remember. I don't remember it moving that slow. So there's some sort of speed issue there, I've noticed. See, now the keys don't work. And I found this with 1 or 2 of the calls, that you define the keys and it doesn't work. And I suspect you've got to go further in here and change that there, button key remap. But I don't want to mess with that just at this stage until I've got a gamepad. But yeah, keys are not doing what I've just defined keys to do. Now, I defined the keys for this one before because it was something that I tested just before I showed you the section of the video you just seen. Again, there are 2 attack buttons here. You've got punch and kick, so again, keyboard really hard to play. Especially when the knife man comes on. It seems really bright. I don't know whether it's just this TV setting or what. I did see options in there though to... Oh, go away. Is it going to start player 1? Oh, it is. Oh, wow. Let's turn that up a bit. And we've got the speech as well. Oh. Yeah, being able to play QAZXC keyboard on an arcade game. Very cool. Oh. Three more generators there. It's quite tactical, isn't it? You've got to sort of move just as the axe is right at the edge of the screen after you've fired it, in order to try and take that generator out before the ghosts appear. There we go. Oh, so hard. It's easy just to run up to them and do that. I think you press the start button here as a dual purpose thing. Yeah, there you go, choose that potion. So yeah, I need to get a good USB controller, don't I? Yeah, I just want to see if there's any way to test that RAM. I do remember something being in the utility. Let's have a look in other. So got various things in there. Consoles, utilities, mem test. So we got that. Let's try that. Yeah, that's a bit cryptic, isn't it? I'm assuming this is where it's testing and it's green. This is bad. Don't know what that thing flying across there is other than an indicator. So I mean, what RAM is that testing? That is the most cryptic memory test I've seen in my entire life. Like, is that testing the RAM I've added? Is it testing some of the RAM that comes on the D10 Nano? I don't know. I think I need to go away and research this on what that's actually doing. I thought it was a good place to break for part 2. Come back in part 2, we need to finish testing the I/O board. You know, so we need to test FPGA, we're missing an audio connector, we need to add heatsink, we need to add a fan, we need a USB hub, we need to get it into this case. There's a bit of a sneak peek. You can see the corner of it here, there's a bit of dust on there actually. Yeah, have it. It's an incredible case and keyboard combination if you ask me. And as you'll see in part 2, I think that this is the best way to go with MiSTer. Something where you've got a keyboard built in, like your old computer systems had. You know, think your Amiga and your ST and your Commodore 64 and, you know, Dragon 32, whatever. Having a keyboard built in like that, and all in one, it takes up a lot more space on the bench, but let's face it, 99% of people are going to stick a keyboard on a MiSTer, so yeah, I think, you know, a case with a keyboard built in is the best solution. And I haven't seen this bettered since this MiSTer case, if I'm honest. So massive thanks to Lee Smith. More about Lee in part 2. If you'd like to support the channel, please see the Ko-fi and Patreon links down below. I'll catch you in the next video.